pretty much all of the billionaires are just turning into like demonic James Bond villains at this point with like supervillain headquarters that they're trying to build everywhere. Today, we're talking about Kevin O'Leary. Yes, 100% you do know that Kevin O'Leary. It's that guy from Shark Tank. Yeah, Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Great Guy, Mr. Everybody fucking loves him. Ha 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 ha. Sarcasm. Well, right now, Mr. O'Leary is pretty much getting roasted like a pig online right now because he's trying to put together a giant data center inside of Utah. And I'm talking like massive, fucking enormous. Like I can't imagine something this big. Like this is supposed to be like twice the size of Manhattan in New York. You know, because nothing really says totally normal project like building a server farm so massive that it's starting to make people wonder if we're not in some kind of weird sci-fi dystopia kind of thing. Like it's giving that kind of vibe at the moment. They're saying that the exact measurement for this project could be around 40,000 acres and they're going to put it in a place called Box Elder County in Utah. And there's like tons of people, tons of the residents there are like protesting, begging, saying, we don't want this. We don't want these data centers here. We don't want this doing everything it's doing to our economy. And even with that happening, it's like all of the local officials seem to really just be pushing it. They seem to be completely ignoring the general public and their opinions. You know, the people that live and thrive there, people that work their jobs and actually have livings there, they're not listening to those people. They're completely getting shut out and ignored like they're screaming on the other side of a freaking glass window and they're just being completely shit all over. And I feel like they're basically just getting slapped in the face over and over again by these people that are supposed to be talking for them, that are supposed to be helping them and trying to think about the betterment of the community itself. This backlash is so intense and so crazy that it's pretty much uniting everybody underneath it though. It seems that even a lot of the local Utah liberals and Tucker Carlson are agreeing with a lot of things that they believe in on this instance. Because good old Tucker Carlson, he's been chatting it up a little bit with Kevin here, and he's been trying to talk to him about why this isn't a good thing either. But yeah, people are getting worried about these giant AI facilities, and they're popping up everywhere. Like it's kind of nuts. I even looked in my local area, and they're talking about putting one in my area too. It's just something that's happening. Any company that can jump on the ship and go along with getting into AI and just completely ignoring the normal populace of people that live in their area is doing it. They're not thinking about it. They're not batting an eye. They're not giving a fuck. They're pretty much just completely hopping on this corporate dick and they're just riding it all the fucking way so that they can fill their pockets and they don't give a fuck about you or me. A lot of people are also really worried because these AI facilities could suck up huge amounts of water, I guess, for like the cooling or something that they use for all the technology there. I don't really know. But I know that it's affecting the environment. It's affecting a lot of the things in the surrounding area. It's even affecting people with their electricity. A lot of companies that power electricity to general areas are basically getting bought out by these corporations trying to expand AI everywhere. And they're getting all of the electricity taken away from normal people like you and me. And they're having it routed to the AI data centers and making it to where people are basically getting dropped off by their fucking utility companies. That's going to make it to where other companies that try to supply power to people for real are going to have to try to find ways to expand and diverge, connecting to other places. Even in Utah, they're talking about maybe trying to connect somewhere in California to their grid and how they run their electricity, which all of this stuff having to be done to make electricity work for the people again is going to make it where when those people do eventually get electricity, because the cost of their utility bills is going to skyrocket at that point because of everything that had to be used to put all of it together. It's going to fall back on the community completely to pay for those costs. And to me, that's fucking insane. Like, I think it should go to the giant billionaire dickheads that are trying to make everything like this happen. And they should be paying to have the infrastructure changed to where they can do what they want, however, and then other people can actually live their lives too. But no, they don't give a shit about that. 99% of Americans don't want anything to fucking do with data centers. I've even seen down the street where there's people protesting to not have data centers put where I live. It's pretty much an all around bad for everybody that knows about them. And anybody that doesn't feel that way is pretty much just getting handed the slop that the government is going to feed them. And they're getting told by these corporations that it's all good, it's all fine, it's whatever, and it's going to cause jobs and stuff for everybody. But it's not. It's just fucking not. And we've seen many times now where a lot of these data centers don't require too many people to be involved with it. They pretty much have their own people inside, and it's very few amount of jobs that are offered to the local people aside from temp jobs to get the buildings built. Whenever they're under construction, they do tend to hire people, but after that's done, they don't need them anymore. There's even political groups in Utah that are talking to people about not leading into those promises of economic growth and jobs that they offer. There was even a similar project that Kevin O'Leary was behind in Alberta, Canada, which, by the way, that's where he fucking lives. He's a Canadian. He talks so much about like us and this and that and whatever whenever he's talking, and acts like he's an American guy, but he's not. This isn't going to affect him in the same way. And he's literally coming down here and like seeping his fucking little nasty demon toes into everything. And he's trying to get involved in a country that he's not even a part of. And during that project that Kevin did in Alberta, many people in that instance were also worried about there being issues with the water usage, and they were worried about their farm areas in a drought prone environment not having enough water to be able to keep them fed. So we can already see that these data centers do indeed affect the environment and everybody around them. It's not just in the ways that you would think, even with the electricity and stuff. It does go to affect, it's pretty much completely disconnecting from everybody that they're supposed to watch out for in the general public, and they're just shitting in their hands instead. It was around that point, too, that Tucker Carlson got a little bit more heavily involved in this situation where him and Kevin were basically on a podcast together. And during that podcast, they were having some direct conversation about this whole thing that we're talking about now.
I would think, since you disagree with the Chinese way of life, which is pretty civilized in a lot of ways, but the one way in which it's barbaric is that it grants its citizens no real rights. And so I would think that you would be very worried about aping their system, which we are now doing. They have total surveillance. It's panopticon in China. We should create our own. Let's take 40,000 acres in Utah and make it possible for the government to know where you are at all times and what you're thinking, listening to you on your phone. Like, we have that.
You have to choose the less of two evils in your scenario. And I'm telling you, what you should do is say, I want Kevin O'Leary to succeed. I want him to beat the Chinese in compute power. Then use the laws of the United States to make sure that you keep that compute power in check, to not have it available, to put down my shovel. I don't think people want me to do that. Even the people in Box Elder, the majority of them want me to hold my shovel and start digging.
There was a referendum among citizens?
3-0. The commissioners of the county said, we want to be
three people voted. The people of the county.
They're elected officials. That's how you do it.
How hard is it for Kevin O'Leary and Amazon and Microsoft and Google to subvert 3 county commissioners in rural Utah?
Tucker, they asked us to come. They asked us to bring $15 billion. There's no other way to do it.
Google and Kevin O'Leary got 3 county commissioners in rural Utah on their side. Good work. You just said AI will create millions of new jobs. You're part of the basis of AI. You can't have AI without data centers, at least right now. What are those millions of jobs? Because we can go through the list that the creators, the people who actually are making AI right now, we can go through a list of jobs they say it's going to eliminate, which would be like lawyers and financial planners and like the basis of upper middle class America. That's going away. They've said this. What will it be replaced by?
It'll be replaced by new science opportunities, new exploration into space, new manufacturing for robotics. Wars in the future probably aren't going to be fought with people getting shot in the flesh. It'll be one set of robots against another. You know, you debate the data center. I think it's fair to do that, what you're doing, but I would be very concerned if I were living in Taiwan that one day my electricity just goes out and I get invaded by basically robotics. That's what China wants. Now, if we don't get there first, I think we'll be in a bad place in 20 years.
I think it's very revealing that I asked you about jobs in the United States and you went immediately to defending Taiwan.
It's also so funny here when you hear Kevin talking about how basically there's an iRobot scenario that he's preparing for and trying to divert any attention he can away from the fact that he's obviously just trying to line his own pockets and try to become powerful in some way. And it is just so freaking ridiculous. I cannot stand him.
Let me ask, though, about why taxpayers should have to pay for this if it's a private business and your tenants are some of the richest companies in the world. Why would taxpayers be required, as they now are, to subsidize this?
They don't necessarily have to do that. They just won't win any contracts. It's a competition.
But why are you getting tax breaks is my question.
Yeah, everybody, you go back and you say, what incentives can you give us to invest $15 billion in the first 1.5 gigs? That's what it takes. I have to go raise $15 billion. Well, that's just
but anyone who starts a business, why should taxpayers have to pony up for that?
They don't. But
well, of course they do.
others,
I mean, if you're getting a tax break and they're not, they're making up the difference. There's a state budget.
hey, that's no problem. That's no problem. I can build it in Texas. I can build it in Jacksonville, Mississippi.
But why, if it's such a good business, would you be asking taxpayers to help pay for it without giving them equity in the company? Are you giving taxpayers?
No, the investors get the shares. But here's why they would do it.
But why would the taxpayers have to?
Well,
I mean, in other words, if you want to start a business, but why am I, as a taxpayer, forced to pay for your business? I don't get it.
And Tucker Carlson was basically questioning him about how taxpayers supported AI mega projects like this can still be called capitalism if the money that's being put into it from the citizens is basically being put into private infrastructure that doesn't even benefit them. And as a matter of fact, it goes as far as to super negatively impact everybody. And pretty much the only thing that he had to fucking say about this shit is welcome to America, which, not that he gives a shit about this, but that obviously outraged people. It did not calm anybody down. It didn't soothe anybody's fucking feelings. It does not help for him to be, he is such a callous douchebag about the way he talks about things. It's insane. He is so self-righteous, and it really freaking disgusts me. And Tucker Carlson ended up pressing him pretty hard about why voters didn't get a direct say in anything going on with these situations. Kevin basically said that they move pretty quickly in these situations to try to get these things in place so that they're able to try to compete with how they feel like everybody is growing with AI. They want to just be able to compete with everyone and line their pockets and get in on the game, basically. That's all they really care about. And like I said, at this point, this is not just like a few instances. This is not like a small time debate. It's becoming all across the country, and something that, with AI infrastructure growing and corporate subsidies and environmental concerns going around, like, this is just leading to things getting worse and people not really getting cared about the way that they should. And it doesn't really matter to these big corporations if the people around it are actually benefiting from any kind of tech boom or anything, or if they're just getting stuck with the side effects of everything going on. I don't really think that they could care less. They pretty much believe that AI is the absolute future to everything, and like I said, any company that can get on it is getting on it at this point. But I just don't understand why the fuck the future needs to steal the electricity and steal the water and steal the resources from the community that it's supposed to be benefiting in the first place. And honestly, if you told me that this was in the middle of some kind of crazy cyberpunk movie called like Cyber Attack of the fucking server farms, I wouldn't be surprised one fucking bit. This sounds like some of the most insane shit that I could ever imagine could be going on. I basically just wanted to let you guys know about it. I wanted to tell you guys what was going on and put it on your radar a little bit so that you guys could keep an eye out for yourselves and know a little bit about what's going on and be able to understand. That's pretty much it. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video.